picture this.
Yeah.
You're living in Philadelphia in the late 1700s.
Okay.
You're a blacksmith. And you get accused of a crime so big it shakes the entire nation.
Oh, wow.
That's what happened to a man named Patrick Lyon. And that's what we're going to be diving deep into today.
Sounds interesting.
The first recorded bank robbery in U.S. history. A story of intrigue, injustice.
Yeah.
A man's fight to clear his name.
I love it.
We've got historical accounts. We've got court transcripts. We even have a fascinating portrait
A portrait.
that tells its own story. Are you ready to unravel this mystery with me?
Absolutely.
I'm excited to jump in.
Yeah.
Let's transport ourselves back to 1798. Philadelphia. The city's in the grips of a devastating yellow fever epidemic.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about this one.
Fear and uncertainty everywhere.
Of course.
And right in the middle of all this chaos, a brazen crime takes place at Carpenter's Hall.
Interesting building.
Now, this historic building, it housed the Bank of Pennsylvania
At the time.
at the time.
Got
Okay. And this robbery, it's striking. Over $162,000 is stolen.
Wow.
A huge sum for the time.
That's millions today.
Millions of dollars today.
Wow.
And get this, there's no signs of forced entry.
No forced entry.
That makes you think inside job, right?
Yeah, definitely.
The
Yeah.
authorities were completely perplexed. How could this happen?
Yeah, how could they possibly get in?
Suspicion fell quickly on Patrick Lyon, a Scottish immigrant,
Okay.
and he was a skilled blacksmith
Uh-huh.
who had worked, get this, on the bank's vault
Oh, so he knew how it worked.
during its relocation
Oh, so he knew how it worked.
to Carpenter's Hall.
Right.
So this is a guy who knows the vault inside out.
So he immediately looks guilty.
Yeah, I can see why he would be a prime suspect.
Right.
But even before all of this, he was going through a lot.
Really?
He had just suffered unimaginable loss. Both his wife and his daughter
Oh, no.
died during the yellow fever epidemic.
Awful.
Just a terrible, terrible tragedy.
So sad.
Adding another layer to this whole story. And to make matters even worse, he was out of town
He wasn't even there.
when all this went down. He was in Delaware trying to escape the epidemic
Smart.
when he finds out about the robbery
Oh, no.
and that he's a suspect.
What?
Can you imagine getting that news while grieving?
That's horrible.
So what did he do?
What did he do?
Did he just lay low?
Hide out?
Hope things blew over? No, he did not. He went back to Philadelphia
Wow.
to face these accusations head on.
That's gutsy.
Remarkable display of courage,
Brave man.
belief in his innocence.
He must have known that he didn't do it.
He even gave the authorities names of men that he thought might be involved,
Really?
including a carpenter
Okay.
named Samuel Robinson,
I see.
and a friend of his, a mysterious friend, who he thought had gambling debts,
Oh, interesting.
practically handing them leads.
Yeah, he was helping them.
You'd think they'd appreciate that.
Right.
They didn't.
Oh, no.
They viewed his detailed account
Uh-oh.
with suspicion. They thought it was too rehearsed.
Too perfect.
Yeah, too elaborate,
So they thought he was lying.
which, ironically,
Made it worse.
made them think he was guilty.
Oh, no.
They thought he must have made a duplicate key
Tore the vault.
while working on the vault. They already had their minds made up,
It sounds like it.
even without evidence. It's
Yeah.
a classic example of confirmation bias.
Textbook.
Right.
See what you want to see.
They decided he was guilty,
Uh-huh.
and they interpreted everything he did
To
through that
When we-
lens.
Yeah.
Even his willingness to cooperate.
Yeah.
So what happened?
What happened next?
Could they arrest him based on just suspicion?
I mean, that doesn't seem right.
They did.
Oh, no.
Patrick Lyon, despite his pleas of innocence,
Yeah.
lack of solid evidence against him,
Doesn't sound fair.
thrown into Walnut Street Prison.
Walnut Street.
Notorious Walnut Street Prison.
Brutal.
Harsh
Oh,
condition,
that was bad.
overcrowding, disease, you name it.
Minimal food.
Minimal food, brutal treatment.
Awful.
And it gets worse for Lyon.
Oh, gosh.
They put him in a makeshift cell
Oh,
in a root cellar.
or root cellar.
Damp,
Yeah.
isolated space, no bed, little human contact.
That is just awful.
Nightmare.
Can't imagine.
Especially after losing his family.
Yeah.
It's just unimaginable.
Really is.
But just when it seemed like all hope was lost,
Oh, okay.
there's a twist in the case.
A twist.
The Bank of Pennsylvania, they start noticing something strange.
What's that?
Unusually large deposits coming from a new account
Okay.
belonging to a carpenter
Oh.
named Isaac Davis.
Isaac Davis. Okay.
Isaac Davis,
Wait
wait,
a minute.
Wasn't that one of the names Lion mentioned?
The guy with gambling debts.
It was.
Oh, wow.
And this is where it gets interesting.
Okay.
So they questioned Davis
About the money.
about the source of this sudden wealth.
Yeah, where'd it come from?
He buckles under pressure,
Uh-huh.
and he confesses.
He admits.
He admits to robbing the bank.
Wow. So Lion was right
Lion was right all along.
the whole time.
And the irony,
It's almost too much.
it's almost too much to bear.
Crazy.
Davis reveals that his accomplice
Yeah.
was the bank porter,
Oh, wow.
Thomas Cunningham,
Okay.
who, as fate would have it,
Oh, no.
had died of yellow fever
From the epidemic.
shortly after the robbery.
Oh.
The real culprit dies from the epidemic that Lion was trying to escape,
Wow.
while Lion is sitting in prison
For a crime he didn't commit.
for a crime he didn't commit.
Life can be so unfair.
It's just
Yeah.
it's a stark illustration of how unpredictable and unjust life can be.
Absolutely. So Davis, he returned most of the money.
Yeah.
But his confession
Yeah.
didn't set Lion free right away.
What?
The bank officials,
Uh-huh.
they still thought Lion was involved somehow.
Oh, con.
They insisted that he must have made a duplicate key.
They just couldn't admit they were wrong.
It's like they were more concerned about saving face.
Than admitting a mistake.
Unbelievable. So what happened to Lion?
Wow.
Did he just accept this?
He did not.
Oh,
He refused to be silenced.
good for him.
He wasn't going to let this define him.
Right.
So he did something pretty bold.
What's that?
He published a book. He wrote a book detailing his experiences.
Wow.
It was a scathing indictment of the bank's conduct.
He called them out.
He did.
What was the reaction?
Oh, it caused a stir in Philadelphia.
I bet.
People were captivated by his story,
Right.
and it really started to shift public opinion in his favor.
The power of the pen.
And this was a time when printed material held a lot of sway.
True.
He used that platform really well.
That took courage,
It did,
especially back then.
especially back then.
But he didn't stop there.
No,
He took it even further.
he filed a lawsuit
What?
against the bank officials.
No way.
He did. For malicious prosecution.
Wow, that's risky.
It was.
Going up against some of the most powerful people in the city.
David versus Goliath. What happened during the trial?
Well, it was a spectacle.
I can imagine.
The testimony revealed just how far the bank went to pursue Lion.
Even though they knew he was innocent?
Even with the evidence pointing to his innocence.
It's scary how power can be abused like that.
It is.
Did the jury see through it all?
They did. After 4 hours of deliberation,
Okay.
they ruled in favor of Patrick Lion,
Yes.
awarding him $12,000 in damages.
That's a lot of money back then.
A clear message
Loud and clear.
they saw through the bank's actions.
Amazing.
Hmm.
Did the bank accept the verdict?
Not at first. They appealed. But before a second trial could happen,
Yeah.
they settled with Lion
Okay.
for $9,000.
Still a good chunk of change.
It was.
But I guess for Lion, it wasn't really about the money.
It wasn't.
It was about clearing his name.
Exactly.
It's inspiring how he turned this horrible experience into a fight for justice.
It is.
Did he ever go back to blacksmithing?
Interestingly, no.
Really?
He shifted his focus. He went into engineering.
Engineering.
Yeah. And he became successful building fire engines.
Fire engines.
And he also became a real estate investor.
Smart.
He did very well for himself.
Good for him.
He didn't let this experience define him.
Wow.
He forged a new path,
I love that.
found success on his own terms.
That's amazing.
There's one more detail I find fascinating.
Okay, tell me.
Years later, he commissioned a portrait.
Of himself.
Yeah. By a renowned painter named John Neagle.
You'd think he'd want to be portrayed as a successful engineer or businessman.
You'd think.
But he wanted something different.
He did. He specifically requested to be portrayed as a blacksmith,
As a blacksmith.
a symbol of his humble beginnings.
That's a powerful statement.
It is.
Choosing to be remembered for his roots.
And there's one more striking detail.
Okay.
He insisted that the artist include a view of Walnut Street Prison.
In the background of the portrait.
In the background.
Wow.
A constant reminder of the injustice he faced.
It's almost like a badge of honor.
It is.
That portrait is on display today in prestigious museums.
It is.
It's a testament to Lion's story.
And a reminder of the power of the human spirit to overcome adversity.
Incredible.
Yeah.
This case, it happened centuries ago,
I know.
but it still has so much to teach us.
It does.
What are the most important takeaways here?
Well, if we think big picture,
Yeah.
it raises questions about the nature of justice.
And the limits of institutional power.
Yeah, how easily reputations can be tarnished.
especially when those in power control the narrative.
Exactly.
It makes you think about how important it is to seek truth.
Even when it's uncomfortable.
The bank officials could have admitted their mistake,
They could have.
cleared Lyon's name,
But they chose to protect themselves.
and it had lasting consequences.
It did for Lyon, for the community, for everyone.
It eroded public trust,
It did.
raised questions about the legal system.
It's a cautionary tale
It is
about groupthink.
about the dangers of not thinking for yourself.
Yeah.
And it shows just how powerful an individual's story can be
Absolutely.
in challenging those narratives.
Challenging the powerful.
Lyon's book, his lawsuit,
Yeah.
they forced people to look at the injustice,
They had to confront it.
to really reconsider what they thought they knew.
It's inspiring.
It is. It reminds us that we all have a role to play
We do.
in making sure justice prevails.
Seeking truth.
It's easy to forget about that.
Yeah, with the everyday hustle.
But Lyon's story, it's a reminder.
Just stay vigilant.
Be mindful of our words.
Our actions.
They have a ripple effect.
Big time.
Think about those rumors.
Spread by the bank.
Almost destroyed a man's life.
And yet, he was so resilient.
He was. Faced unimaginable loss, injustice,
Yeah.
but he never gave up.
Rebuilt his life.
Such strength of the human spirit.
Hope and perseverance.
It's inspiring.
It is.
This deep dive into Patrick Lyon's story, it's been eye-opening.
Yeah, it really makes you think.
Any final thoughts for our listeners?
I think Patrick Lyon's story, it's a timeless reminder
Of what?
that the pursuit of justice, it's a process,
An ongoing one.
a fight every generation has to take up
To make a more just world.
for everyone.
His story, it resonates even centuries later.
It does.
It urges us to champion fairness.
And to speak truth to power.
Couldn't have said it better myself. We hope you found this deep dive into Patrick Lyon's story as thought-provoking as we did.
I know I did.
A tale filled with lessons about justice, resilience.
And challenging those in power.
Until next time,
Stay curious
keep questioning.
and never stop seeking the truth.